Wow. Hello, beautiful, lovely people. I am here with Veronica, and we decided to come into this talk, which is not going to be a talk, but it's going to be an in-depth connection point where we love to wander around in the world of deeper grounds, into the depths of life. And we currently have rediscovered each other. And it's really lovely to be here. We already had a little pre-talk, and it was so inspiring actually that I just wanted to keep on going, and like, okay, let's just press the button and let's go. Yeah, it's very beautiful to feel you. So how would you love to, so let me introduce myself. Let you introduce yourself. And so my name is Puja. I have created Beyond, and it's a beautiful in-depth space of living arts and temple arts, integrative temple arts. And we are currently in the expansion of House of Devotion, which is a deeper and new initiation of the Beyond container, which I've been holding for around 11 years now, I think. Yes, and a big journey in so many layers of life. And we're going to tap into some things that we have experienced because Veronica has been in one of the Beyond settings. Yeah, so let's go over to you. You are in a beautiful transitional time, which I really adore to hear about, and that you let yourself be in a certain quality and to let life discover itself through you in a very new way. So maybe you can share a little bit where you came from and what it is that you feel the newness is where you're heading to.
Yeah, so thank you for having me. And I'm loving that we're getting to reconnect in this way. So I'm Veronica.
So,
Yeah. And I create events and workshops about vulnerability and human connection. I love helping people have powerful conversations. And with that comes with teaching people how to open, open their heart and to drop the armor around their heart. And this is actually perfect because this is something that we're going to bring to this conversation. And I think I started that journey when I struggled so deeply with vulnerability and opening and communication and
how did you notice that you were struggling?
my relationships. My relationships I always wanted something of I knew I was a woman of depth. Like I knew I had a lot of depth in me. And I didn't find that in other people, or there was something I craved in myself, but I looked for it in other people. And I noticed that my relationships were just boring and surface level. And I kept choosing non-committal relationships or relationships that were kind of surface level and unavailable. And then through my journey and through this work, I've learned how to become someone who is available, emotionally available. And yeah, that's been the journey, is like, oh, I crave this deep intimacy with another and with my community, with friends, with men, but I didn't know how. I didn't know how to connect.
Mhm.
I Yeah, my relationships were kind of, they were like bland. And
And it would have been so easy for you to hide out because you're a beautiful woman, you're smart, you know how to move in the world, so you could have easily gotten away with yourself hiding behind this appearance in a certain way, and then yeah, to feel dead on the inside. And I'm naming that not specifically towards you, but this is what is happening a lot, like society wise. We just also spoke about that you're back in New York and that you have a feeling like you have to armor up almost to be on the streets.
mhm.
And there, so I love how intelligence knocks on our door, because why would you listen? Because you had it going on, like, but and this is the deeper calling, like something, and this is the art, the quality that you know to be, even if you have no clue where it's leading you, because that is the beauty of it. It's deeply unknown, and we will go deeper into that unknown piece more. But you let yourself guide, like, okay, I want, at some point, maybe not even in that narrative, but you knew, I want to connect on a deeper, intimate level with life. I am not feeling life. I'm not feeling myself. I'm not feeling you. Like, there is a desperateness on a soul level, which we feel in our personal. So yeah, maybe you can share something around that. Like, how does that land if I bring it like that?
Yeah, yeah, it lands. And what came to me is when I started this, and even I'm on a new level of this, of letting myself be messy, letting myself be imperfect, letting myself feel incapable, letting myself not know the answer, letting myself be other parts of me. And I think, especially in the beginning, when I first started, I learned all these personal development tools. I learned all these conscious communication structures and things, like, oh, nonviolent communication, authentic relating. Like, I learned how to say all the right things.
Mm-hmm.
When I started this journey of, like, oh, there's structure to communication. There's a way to connect with others. But I was still so armored. Like, I was still so, like, even after I started Vulnerable AF, that was my journey of, like,
Yeah,
opening.
because that has been your company, or still is your company, or is it a brand name or a company name? I
It's
don't.
my brand. It's my
Brand,
brand,
yeah.
my workshop series, my coaching program that I used to run. And yeah, but like, even when I started it, there was still this level of armor that I carried. I was still afraid of, like, letting someone really see me, because
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know who I was. And I would hide. At some point I started to hide behind um, like, personal development, or I started to hide behind, oh, like, I lead this workshop series called Vulnerable AF. Like, look at me, this is what I do. And that was
It's
also a
so
part.
tricky, right? Like, this is
Yeah.
already what I love so much, that we can speak about these things that, that our human self on a personal level does sometimes, and then that we can have this little, zoomed out awareness around that, and then just have fun with that personality piece. Like, it's so cute. And so, yeah, and for me, this is already like such a relief of, how can you then be? Because if there is just that personal piece, what I love is when there is consciousness around the experience, when there is a deeper presence than what is really just here. And that in that deeper being, all these things come up and go and now, and even the messy stuff, or no, that's even not how I want to say it. Already that is doing something, how to frame things. There is alignment, there is clarity, there is plugged inness, there is, when we're totally out, there is everythingness in our human experience, and the messiness is just in betweens. Like, oh, something wants to click back into place, and I don't know, and then so if we would frame messiness as like, ooh, something is finding its way, like, and it's not there yet, and it might take a minute, it might take an hour or a year, but
Mm.
knowing I'm on track to something, so that all that can fall away, because I know where I also, again, in your example, no, that's not the example that we had yet when we were recording, when we were speaking earlier, like, where to go is can we allow ourselves to be plugged in? And this is the fear of so many people, like the armored space that we spoke of, the armored quality. there is a certain controlled quality there. Because also in your example, like what would you have feared most? Like you said, I wanted to be seen. I wanted people to see me, but I did not know how to make myself be seen or something along those lines. But is it to be seen or is it to be felt? Or like what is exactly what is then going on, or how, yeah, how do you experience it? Maybe even right now.
I think that what I wanted was I wanted to see myself. And I think I had a need. I have a lot of what I've built, and I'm really proud of all the things I've done and created. But a lot of it came from a need to prove something, because there was a time where I didn't think I was smart. I didn't think I was intelligent. I wanted to be seen. I actually hated being beautiful. I used to think that, and there's truth to this. I would, when I was little, I got bullied from women,
Yeah.
right? So the women were jealous of me, especially young girls that I grew up with. Like there was I looked different. I walked around differently, and so I dimmed myself so that I wasn't noticed. And I thought that
Yeah.
it was because of how I looked that I got a lot of unwanted attention.
Yeah.
And I had a body.
Did you also oh, we
Mhm.
have a little delay.
Oh, yeah. I went through a big struggle of trying to wear different masks so that I could be seen a different way. So I'm like, I'm not just seen as beautiful. Like there's so much more to me. I'm smart. I'm funny. I'm cool. Like the cool girl was like my MO for a long time. Like, look, I'm so cool. Like, look at the music I like, and I do this. I go here. Like I led with that, and that was a piece of armor that I wore because I was so afraid of like really being seen in my fear, in my self-doubt, in the parts of me that didn't think I was worthy or smart. Like I really walked around the world not believing that I was intelligent. So
But it's also very exposed, I can imagine, because there you are being all beautiful, and then you're always feeling exposed on a certain level, I can
yeah,
imagine. And then maybe as a child specifically, or when you're young, you cannot hold that because you feel what people are putting into that. Like it's not just receiving it, just like beautifully,
yeah,
consciously aware receiving
yeah,
of that being. No, it's like it's something coming to you, or it wants something wanted from it, or
yeah.
I
I didn't
hear
know
like,
how to do that. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
And then it was a journey for me to learn and to how to receive. Oh, thank you. Yeah. I love my body. I love the way I look. I love, like I had to own parts of me. And that's been my journey with vulnerability, and vulnerable AF has been my journey of
So funny.
owning all parts of me. Like, yeah, but people from the outside may look at me and they think, oh, she has nothing to worry about. She looks like this, and she does that, and she does this. And I would create that image of myself. And I did really well with that. Like, oh yeah, like things are great. Like I'm great. But really like not revealing my heart,
You
right?
couldn't even come to that place where you could actually feel yourself. There was too
And
much
myself.
in
And there's
between,
so
right?
much.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now I've been on this journey. I'm still unraveling all that. I've been on a journey of like, ooh, who am I without this image of myself? Like, yeah, of course. Like I still lead workshops, I still do things, and I'm still like letting myself be seen in ways, but I've taken away, or I'm really conscious of my need to prove. And I'm learning about different aspects of myself, letting myself be messy, letting myself be incapable, right? Letting myself need help. And like that, that's been a journey of like um, recognizing that I attach a lot of my purpose and like what I do for work to my self-worth and my value. I thought that if I wasn't
Yeah.
smart and killing it and successful and like a successful online coach, then I wasn't valuable. I really had this deep belief that if I wasn't making a ton of money and killing it along with a lot of my friends in the
Mhm.
in this space, in the coaching industry, in the online
And
world.
here everybody is in the same position looking at you,
Yeah.
and the others, like,
Yeah,
everybody's
it's
in the
like,
same
oh, then
boat.
I'm not valuable. I'm not. Oh my God, they're gonna think that I'm not. That I just gave up, and I'm not working hard enough. And I've had to just really unravel all of that shit and just
Yeah.
like just be me. Like, okay, yeah,
So
what
there is a beauty to that, I would say, as a symbol also. I still have my fingers like this because there's something that came up, and this is a very interesting piece. Um, but what I love, and to take this example that you gave about yourself as a symbol of what we earlier also spoke of, like this, the larger field,
Mhm.
like there is so much, it's so fast that there is polarization. It's so fast that the cool kids have a certain armor, or the rebel against that, or like, and then you could group people almost in certain layers. And I think the most interesting layers to me are the one that you cannot pin. So it's, there's the usual ones you could, point out, but it's these in between spaces where it's not so easy to catch. What I love a lot is discerning, refining, because there is not just this or that. Because also, if you would say the cool kids attitude, there's also a flip side to that, or way more nuance to it. You cannot just frame anything actually as one piece. But sometimes it's not. I love to do black and white sometimes too, just to make a point. But I know truth lives in deep nuance. And only if we can allow that, therefore, we also have to let go of what we thought, what we might want to think, who we might want to be. Like, oh, if we can just listen in and know, like, oh, it's almost like a soft pinball machine. Things might go here, there. Poof, all of a sudden it lands somewhere where you would not have expected it. Can you receive life like that? And there's so much that we put in between to because we feel as humans so easily that if you have a statement, you have to be strong. Like um, sometimes it's fun. I also like being able to voice something clearly, or to have a statement or a certain term for something. Like, yes, that clicks in. That is capturing how close we can get with words. This is the closest I can get at this moment for that. That's great. So words or framing is sometimes really necessary, beneficial, beautiful, inspiring, nourishing, even. Like, oh, if you hear those words, or there's so much to it. And there is this layer where I would say that you can actually not, yeah, if we just let ourselves not be so clear, because in the frames of clarity is usually where there's also armor coming up. Like, I hold on to this, it's like that. My identity is like this. If we can just really drop deeper and be. I will give an example. So this, I'm going to bring this one in, that I'm realizing. So, and it's interesting. It's about two pictures, and the first one was a picture you said, like, being. No, it's about projections, basically. So people project so much easily onto anything, actually. I have is that a position, or I'm not sure. Let me see. So in the work that I bring with Beyond, and also in the years ago where you were still there, we create a space where there is a deep devotion to the divine living. So it really is about lining up in this devoted surrender to the altar of life. And we bring in so many aspects. We work in deep humanity. We work in the personal pieces. We're cracking through so many layers, melting through it. There's so much beauty in the matter, in the frequency, in how people move through all these armored pieces, or like it is insanely the depth of all these aspects and how people stand stronger, like what I'm doing more now also with House of Devotion, stepping deeper into, okay, so how can you bring this in the larger rippling of your life and also in the pieces of your leadership, how to be that. But that's for another moment. So, and we work with it's with humanness, relationships, leadership, spirituality, and sexuality. So I'm already framing it in a way so that people understand, because the ego mind just wants to sometimes just like slurp into some like, it's about sex. Oh, you're just doing, oh yeah, all these temple nights. I know what it is about. And I'm like, oh no. And the amount of times I just have to say like, no, it's not like that. It's also not like that. It's also not like that. It really truly is. And that is what it is. It is such a unique field and you cannot really express it. And even before all the temple nights that started a couple of years ago to really like wildfiring, Beyond was already there. And of course, evolving as well. Now, there is one picture of you. I'm sure you know it, but let's try it out. It's a piece of you. It is one of the most beautiful pictures. You see this beautiful old chair, like this leather chair, like a very classic chair. And then you see a little piece of your back and your bum and your leg. There is, and the glance of the light on it, it's just perfect. But the perfect bum with the perfect light on it, with his chair, it was like, it's such a beautiful picture. Do you know that one? You look like you don't.
I don't know if I know it. I mean,
I just came across it again. I wanted to send it to you, but I didn't. I will. So this image, and there is another image of a few women that's some years later. We did a very deep work, and I think you were in a very deep happening there too, in this corner.
Mm-hmm.
So another picture with women laying next to each other. We had then a women's setting, and we had been through a piece of hell, and then everything just relaxed and disarmored, de-armored. And it was such a nourishing, deep, loving space. And then some pictures were taken because we always have a photographer around. And this picture is also with a few women's bums from the behind on a beautiful furry rug. The image is so beautiful. And also because I know what situation was and all that, but I hardly ever post these pictures because I'm afraid that people's minds go like, oh, you see, it's just about the young, beautiful bum, or just women laying around naked with their bums out, and it is so not what that is about. It is just the narrowness of how things are being framed, how pornificated our society has become.
Mm-hmm.
That I have to kind of take care of not bringing that out. And at the same time, because I was just with these pictures, specifically the one with a few bumps, like, oh, I'm going to use it. I'm going to write actually about this. So it's interesting that it comes up now. Because I just want to break through that. Like, it might seem something and it's not like that.
Yeah.
Can you hold that vastness? Can you, because that is for me, the biggest work. There is this all-encompassing reality, the all-encompassing that we can be, or that we are actually, the complexity, the simplicity. There's so many aspects. Can we hold it all? And then there is the beauty and the mess and the perfection, the nectar kind of quality that comes in the moment, or the dark that comes through in a certain way that, like, is coming to the surface and anchoring, and like, wow, there's so many deep aspects of a variety of damn beautiful deep qualities of life. And can these beautiful images be part of that and being seen like that?
Yeah. And
Now, what I see also in this, yeah, go ahead.
I want to speak to this a little bit around projections, because what I've had to learn is, when I'm presenting something or when I'm speaking about something, even a situation, how do I teach people? What do I teach people about this thing that I'm speaking about? Like, what's the thing that I'm creating? Like, can I, like for you, you're speaking about the aliveness, the full spectrum, the darkness, the light, the beauty, like there's all parts of it. And I think like it's important to really be responsible for like, how do I teach people how to see this thing, right? Like for me,
Exactly.
I taught people how to see me as I got it. I got it all. I don't need anyone's help, or I'm killing it. I taught people this, right? Without actually doing it.
Yeah.
And that's the first thing I would lead with. I lead workshops. I talk about vulnerability. I talk about intimacy. I talk about blah, blah, blah. So then people would project, oh, vulnerable AF, you should be vulnerable. Shouldn't you be vulnerable all the time? Shouldn't you, know this and teach me that? And like, they're just like, they project those things because I taught them to see me that way, versus like, oh, when I'm speaking about something, can I speak to the truth like behind it and all the other parts behind it? And like, for me, I'm sharing more of my other life on my social media now, like talking about time with my brother, talking about me dancing with fire, talking about martial arts training I'm doing. Like there's other aspects of me that I want to know and speak to more deeply, that are so much more than what I do for work, or so much more just like your temple spaces. Like it's so much more than sexuality. Like
Yeah.
sexuality is just like, it's a part of it. But
And even in that sexuality, so even how people then hear sexuality
yeah,
is a certain way, whether that is from the newer angle, like, whoa, what is that? You're working with sexuality, or from what is more and more common, like way more people, like it's also there, that has grown outrageously. People creating spaces with around sensuality / sexuality. And that has become a new frame. I have to now, where in the beginning I was a real pioneer in this work, and I had to kind of, break through these walls of people not understanding what is that about and all that. So yeah, well, we kind of got through because
yeah,
but now
and
I have to decondition again, like, no, it's not, no, like there's certain ways, oh, it should be like this, oh, this is how it goes. I'm like, no, 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 that is what these people now are doing. Fine, there's, like, that's fine, but it's more like how to then so I think the main issue here is, so to also go a little bit meta. Before you know it, you have framed and captured something in a narrow way. And the refinement and the discernment makes the beauty come better to life, like blossom open. For example, with sexuality, there is such a depth that we can access in that zone that it almost, not that it has to, but it almost erases the whole idea, or the zone, the area of what sexuality is about. It is so refined that it is not even a thing anymore. It is so deeply beautiful. It's so connected to spirit. It's so connected to expansion, or many other layers, that once you really go into it, it's a world, like a world. And it's not a frame. It's not a box. It's
yeah,
especially not the box how it wants to be framed, from whichever angle people are trying to box it.
mm-hmm.
And this is what I love doing with this. Is, I think, also why it's called Beyond, like to continuously going in the beyond. So the big meta thing here is, and this is the piece that was interesting yesterday, it brought me to tears. Just now speaking earlier to you about it brought me to tears, is framing things, boxing things. Sometimes it's needed because our brain cannot be overly nuanced with everything the whole time, unless we are totally plugged into a quantum state and then the frequency is so high, because yeah, you can, and you can still function in the world. But these boxes have a certain armor. It is like, you know, it is protective. I have this box. Unless you can have this deep encompassing that you can have all the boxes. You know? What happens then is that we look at things. For example, I have a hanging plant right here. And yesterday was also, the situation was real about a plant. And yeah, you can look at a plant, or I can look at you. We can talk about life. We can look at things, but can we let them touch us? Can we come from it? Can we receive the actual quality and the beauty, like the innate beauty that makes this plant without the concept? Now, just like the intelligence of life, the deep beauty. Can we, so we can shift instantly from looking at to receiving from. And it is like a, how you say it, a nano shift, which makes all the difference. So my statement is that people are only truly satisfied, not content, not okay, not whatever else, but like deeply like satisfied. I don't know if there's a better word even. Maybe it's a lack of my English. But a deep satisfaction on a soul level.
Fed or something like,
Mm?
like sated, like sated or like fed. Like I'm nourished.
Yeah, and for me, that is when everything just comes together. It is the deeply integrated state where everything comes together. But what comes together there is the specific part I'm speaking of, and I'm also saying it to everyone hearing this, watching us, is you can, in this very moment, open something in your skin, in your breath, in your eyes, through which everything feels new. It is a slight little shift that makes you instantly, because life is instant. Deep quality is instant. And the moment we tap into that, there might be some parts or a certain layer that would love to stay on this identified way of looking at things. But on a deeper level, on a soul level, on a deep human level, beyond all the constructs, which are part of being human as well, of course. It's not about, I have to achieve this, I have to look like that, I have to now become the vulnerable, you know, the opposite of what you were, or nothing matters. Nothing gives a deeper satisfaction than just having this slight little shift, being fully receptive of the oneness, which is also in there, the beauty, I'm not sure if I'm able to catch the right words, and I'm feeling a little, yeah, maybe I just have to slow down. But there's that, the moment that we can let ourselves be new, our eyes be new, and now also my words become new again, there is a relaxation into that. There's an instantness to it. There is presence. It brings everything together. And it is the quality that keeps us away from identifying, narrowing down, armoring up. And I'm doing it a little bit like this, but it is so slight and slick. Before you know it, it is there. Now, and then also in the world and in social media land and in scenes and in, you know, areas of life, I observe a lot. I'm not always talking, but I see a lot, I feel a lot, and yeah. As a child, I had a little hidden corner, and that was behind the couch. So the couch was a little bit, so there's the wall and the couch was in front of it, but it was like this. So it had a little V. That V was my safe zone. I had cushions there. The cat also loved living there, but so it was me and the cat, or me or the cat. And I felt that the world, unaware, but I felt that the world was so intense, and below where I was laying was the business of my mom, with a lot of customers and people chatting. So you don't hear exactly what to say unless they're really loud. But you hear this energy, and I just felt a lot of times like, because it was also a dangerous zone, because the moment when I would go downstairs and be in it, I would be exposed to all these types of eyes, with armor, with things. People want to do nice. People want to have my mom as a friend, so they would, you know, cuddle me, or you know, or the belittling things toward children, or the show of the world, you know, the show of life, you know. And I, in my little home bubble, I had access to it directly, and it was always frightening. And I was so great in that little corner behind my couch. And the other day I was feeling like creating my own world. This is what I usually do as well. Like, I do create my own world. It has extended, it enlarged with the creation of Beyond. And what that brings, not just, you know, the situation, but like all the layers that is in there, the multifacetedness and the multidimensionality, and the beautiful people with all their happenings. And but it feels that that zone has that quality of being behind the couch. Like, okay, we put the noise away, that, you know, like the armored noise and the ways, so that we can tap into a frequency that we can heal on a certain level, to grow again, to what we know is deeper true. So the background of that is that when you work with the transpersonal, which we do deeply, you heal the personal, and that gives the possibility to heal all these layers that started, actually, even like what's behind the armor. There is, and sometimes even without having to pinpoint it, like to process it or therapy it. Mm-hmm. It can work deeply therapeutical, specifically in the way we do that, that like it brings things together. And maybe this is a nice moment where you shared something, what happened when you were in there is a moment when in Beyond, we've been through a lot of stages, that it's built up in various stages. And there is one stage where we are in big circle work. There is an in-depth guidance. So it is a gnosis and a guidance, working with both the inner intelligence of a person and me, so fine-tuning what is there in the energetic and what is there. So it's like almost like slicing everything out, so that essence just gets more space. And so there was a moment, maybe you want to share about that you were bringing yourself into that circle.
Yeah. So I did Beyond with Puja in 2019. And there was a moment after a lot of shifts going on, a lot of different experiences happening that week. It was so, I mean, like Beyond is like the perfect word for it. And there was so so many inner workings, things shifting in me, things I'm recognizing, things I'm things I'm opening to, and also yeah, seeing and being with. And there was a sharing circle, and I raised my hand and I started talking.
Which is
And
not, by the way, a usual sharing circle. There is a specificness around that, but yeah.
yeah, there was something, we were sharing something specific. And it was also me like wanting to be seen and wanting to share, right? And Puja stops me, I'm talking, and she's like, wait, I hear you talking, like I hear you moving and I hear words coming out of your mouth, but I can't feel you. So why don't you let people feel you? And what she means by that is like, if you're like, what do you mean she can't feel you? She could hear me talking like I'm talking from my head, but I clearly wasn't in my body. I was just like, versus like rooted in the words I was letting be heard.
Mhm.
And so I stopped. And then I'm like, okay, how do I get people to feel me? So then I'm like looking around. She's like, no, that's like, you don't need to look at anybody. What if you can just like let whatever land, like let this land? And I had to be open to receiving that too. Like, so talk about receptivity. I
Yeah.
had to be open to that, because if I wasn't receptive, I could have been like, what do you mean? You're like, what do you like, or shut her down, or be like, no, she doesn't know what she's talking about. Like anything, if I had armor up, which I'm sure I still had armor up, but if I was armored, I couldn't receive that. I would have taken it as like, oh, excuse me. But I received that, and in front of everyone. It wasn't like she didn't just say it to me, she said it in front of everyone. And I had to just like let the essence of my share just be heard from my inner knowing. And actually, then when I let that land, there actually wasn't much to share. Like there really wasn't anything. I don't even think I said anything. And and I shared that with her just before we started recording, because that was such a impactful moment for me. And it was impactful for years after that. Like it actually impacted the way I moved in the world. It's still like it's a practice of like, when I speak, am I here? And I see where, and Pooja and I reconnected recently, like maybe 2 months ago, after not speaking for a long time, not for any reason. We just didn't, we lost connection. And I have, I caught myself recently, like just not in my depth, not in my body. Like I just felt this like stickiness. And I thought about, I thought about that experience. I thought about Beyond, and I thought about Puja, and I reached out to her and I was just like, hey, I just sent her like an acknowledgement.
Yeah, that
And,
was such a precious gift that you gave me, and also in such a perfect timing, of course. But
mhm.
sometimes I need to hear those things too. It was like such like, oh my God.
Yeah, I
Such a
just sent
deep
her like,
appreciation, like 5 years later, such a deep, like just a plop in my inbox, such a deep appreciation of the work of me. I forgot the exact words, but it was just such a beautiful little piece of bringing yourself in. And it's
yeah,
beautiful to hear that it was also coming from that angle, like, and then the remember, because you also shared that to me that you used that example also in your own work, right?
yeah. I've shared that example with Pooja and I to other people when I have led workshops. Like I've led a workshop, an exercise around communication and sharing something, and the partner giving you feedback if they can feel your heart, if they can feel you or not. And like I only know what that experience is like because I didn't know where I was speaking from.
Yeah.
And Puja during Beyond, like she gave me a lot of like cutthroat reflection that was
Consensual.
consensual. Oh yeah, totally.
Because that is the piece that I loved a lot
Yeah,
about you, because I saw you moving. I mean, there's a whole group. I cannot be
yeah,
constantly with everyone, but
yeah,
we guide also on energetics. There's a lot of, and it is the beauty of like the frequency and the beauty of the space is so large, and then things just need to cook and do, and then sometimes things pop, sometimes things flat on your face, and then because deeper truth just wants to pour and pour and pour. And there was this moment where I saw you moving. You came up to me at some point, and was it something from you or from the field? I don't know, but you came up to me and you just said like that you would love a reflection from me, like that you were open for any reflection. And I think that was a moment that I really started to appreciate what was more and more behind you, because it was hard to sometimes see through the movement and the things that you were doing. But those were the moments that I felt like, there you are, there you are, even though there was still a little bit coming from that, but
like
the
here, then.
courage. Yeah, yeah. And this is the
But I
thing,
mean, like,
like you literally asked me to slice you to pieces from a loving place, because you knew it was medicine and not. This is the
yeah,
thing, like everything that I
yeah, you
do,
were
I
picking at me.
dissect sometimes. It is knowingly that essence wants to pour through. It is never like, also
Yeah,
just as a realization for people that are listening, um I would never just do things because I would love to just barge into somebody's aura, but we
mhm,
always do very precise deep work, sometimes energetically, sometimes on these layers, depending on what is there, so that your deep desire of being full, being relaxed, being felt, coming deeper into alignment and truth can happen.
yeah. Like, and we talked about someone else that I met at Beyond who also like I asked him to give me those deep reflections because they were medicine for me. And I like, if someone, I'm also like a little masochist. Like I want like,
Hit me, hit me again.
give me the truth. And I want that because I knew I'm like, this is the medicine for me to grow into the woman I know I'm capable of being.
Mhm.
And Beyond it's a long experience. It's like a full on deep experience. And so like we're with each other for hours, many hours of the day,
Days, yeah.
days. So
I
there's
think I
there's so much.
think then it was 5 days. I think now we are 8 days. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it is a that 8 days. That is like, I'm going to Burning Man next week. And that's like that's 7 days. That's a whole experience. And it's like, wow, the person that I came in with, and I remember beyond like the first night, or maybe maybe the first night we had a temple experience, and someone at that at who I met, I remember he said to me, he was like, "You think you're powerful?" And I was like, who the fuck are you to say that? But like that, I was receptive, even though it was like, I didn't know him at all. And he said that to me. And I was like, but I received it. It took a couple of days. It took a while for me to receive
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
That like unraveled me. I was like, oh, wow, here, it had me look at, where am I acting from? Where am I
Yeah,
trying to be something?
yeah.
And there's many reflections that came from that, or from just the being in a container with you. And and I told Pooja, I still talk about Beyond all the time. Like when people ask me about like, oh, have you done different trainings? And I'm like, no, but I've done this. And there's just there's just so much richness and depth that you get when you play with all these realms. And
Yes.
I got to do some deep healing from things that I didn't even recognize. I thought I worked through, or I thought I cleared. And I remember actually after that experience, I got into a relationship with someone who I was having like a, you know, on and off conflicted partnership with for a while. And because I was so solid after I left that experience, I was so fucking solid in myself
Mhm.
and like more rooted in truth and like the hard truth too, not just the like, oh yeah, like this is true, I'm clear. It was like, and
Mhm.
also being able to love someone else in their truth, even if I didn't like it. I me and
Because truth is not yours, mine, or anyone's. It is first you come to a layer of bitter. You know, people say something truth is bitter, but there's just one layer. It's the layer of having to let go of a certain identification with something, or you know, the wanting. It's an armor layer. It's an ego layer. But the moment that you can let that go, like softening, and you come to the place like, wow, it becomes sweet. You know,
uh,
like oh, because you feel everything falling into place. You know,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and like, and there's something about, and actually, I love that you said the softening. You mentioned softening because I think there's a misconception that like rootedness means strong, powerful, and unwavering, but I can be rooted and also so soft and open and receptive. Like there's a
You
beauty
know,
in.
you hit essence here. You know, my kind. This is my kind of. This is what I love to hear. Yeah, because and I love that you can capture that and that you bring it in like this because it's from a felt experience. It is true that so the depth of our being is, in our body is in the bowl of our pelvis. You know, like, and what we often do is we don't go all the way down. We are a little bit here, or a lot of bit here, or all the way there. It's a lot sometimes to really rest into the real bottom of your being, the core of your being. That is such a big piece of the work, to really anchor, to really rest in your body. And then to lean in. So, you know, there's a dropping in, resting in your pelvis, and a leaning in back in your spine. It's like the seat of your soul, the seat of your body that you can rest into. The moment that you don't really feel that, like you're kind of out of your zone. So this is the place where you can always bring yourself back into. And once you're rooted like that, or close to it, you know, you never know how 100 or 1,000 or -1 or -100% that you are. Well, um, the deeper we can let ourselves rest, the more we just open. It cannot be any other way. So it is, per definition, a softening.
Mm,
What is harsh is controlling, because when we are not there, this is actually the anxiety in our system, because we want to feel rooted, and instead of rooting and resting into it, because sometimes we cannot get there, you know, like it takes sometimes years or lifetimes to really come home like that. So instead of that, then what happens a lot is to grasp control. And that is actually harsh, because their opinions are being made, uh, yeah, directions are being created, it should be like this, and you know, like all these, that is
mm,
harsh. But
yeah,
to really just rest in your being, and in that all encompassedness, that is a gentle space. But you have then access, this is also again that where the vertical and the horizontal meet, the vertical alignment with the higher realms and the depth in the soil, resting in our own soil and on earth soil. And from there, if we connect on the horizontal levels in what we meet in front of us, then you can be, you can be.
yeah.
Mm, and in that quality, So it is simple. That's what I want to say. It is simple. Everything becomes simple. You have access to everything, and also you have choice. Like I can really, go really deep in my dark. I can slurp up deeper qualities from the earthy dragon zones. I can be so divinely present at the same time, or maybe I lean in a little bit there or a little bit more there. But you have access to, ideally, to all these possibilities. But it doesn't need, it's very powerful. And it is so powerful because there's nothing in between. So if you push me when I'm there, I just bounce back.
Mm-hmm.
It's because it's centered. And so it doesn't need to be armored power. Like usually what we mean with power, it's actually armor. It's like the willpower, certain power. But power is being in that zone. It's simple.
Yeah.
You can be on fire, you can melt. But when you're there, like, yeah, you're very responsive to any situation. And of course, when you go into more transcendental states, yeah, you cannot just drop back onto the earth within 1 second. You need time. It's a tender. So there's way more to it. But in essence, being anchored, being rooted, and this is one of the main things actually that I love so much, is to bring people back and over again in that resting in it, because I've lived that myself. Like it's not that I was born knowing this. This has been my journey. I was as a child, I was just a head on little feet. I had no idea what I was doing in this world, that I had a place or a position. I was always like, oh, I must be in the way. So I had to go through a very deep journey myself. This is why I also recognize these things in you.
Yeah, and I'm still, and it's been so annihilating for me to even admit that. And now I'm like, I feel really rooted in that. But like to even admit, oh, there's still more for me to learn right now. Like, no, I can't do certain things right now because I am learning how to rest. And there's things I don't know. And being someone who wants to, who used to want to be, I want to know it all. I want people to think I know it all. I want people to think I'm powerful because that makes me powerful. It's like, actually, I'm still powerful, even in my uncertainty, in my, in
The
my,
funny thing is, actually, I think that is a lazy way of living, isn't it?
yeah,
Because you try to, force people an image, like, think this of
yeah,
me. So, and yeah, so then what do I do in the meantime? But actually what you want is that you have access to it all. So you have to, get yourself going to meet all these places, instead of like, yeah, you think this of me, I'm good, I'm gonna have a sip of water in the meantime. That's not how it works.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's funny.
So
Yeah.
I have to start wrapping up now because I have another call.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
this was
It is.
so neat.
It is so beautiful to. I keep seeing you from 5 years ago and feeling you now. Like this is the thing. I see you from there and I feel you here. So I've seen you,
Mm-hmm.
but I could not fully feel you. But now I feel you, and that's yeah. Also a deep bow down to the journey that you have taken. And what is your next station? Like, what is the thing that you're leaning into? Where do you feel, this is my
Mm-hmm.
next expansion piece, if there is such thing to, capture?
The next space for me is to do less. Yeah, manage my time, value my time, and to be a student of life. And
So
let
your next brand's going to be humble as fuck.
humble. Yeah, or just like,
Humbling to life.
open yeah, my next chapter is just like opening. I hope that I want partnership. I would love to meet a new partner, a new person to journey with, and also like be sorry for the loud noise in New York. Yeah, partnership and like rooted career. So just like working on these next stages in my career, but from a place of like ease and joy and abundance and
Mhm.
like and yeah, just truth. So yeah.
I'm
Old
super excited.
in like my next program launch and the next thing and like right, I'm gonna make more content and it's like actually none of that turns me on right now. So yeah, yeah. So learning
Beautiful.
how to just say more truth.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay, love. I am very much looking forward. I'm looking so well. I just want to send you off with amazing blessings into the Burning Man happening. Um, so what is the quality that you're taking with you there? Like from which quality are you going there? Maybe that's a nice little nugget.
The quality of home. Like, yeah, there's something about this feeling at home in myself and bringing that to Burning Man and bringing that with me everywhere. Home, like
Yeah.
bringing, I hope when people are around me, they feel at home. And then
Yes.
also bring that rooted home to Burning Man. So,
Okay, so I want to wrap up in a minute with
mhm.
the last question because that is something that I do know that I want to bring in these conversations. There's one last question. I'm before that because after that we close off straight away,
Mhm.
and yeah, I'm very excited that you're coming back into the Beyond field. Like I'm so thrilled to have like also you have beautifully evolved. We have beautifully evolved. A lot has happened. We've all been shaken and stirred by life and deepened and marinated and deeper initiated. So and then to dive even deeper in. I'm so happy to feel you. Um, the last question is, what is the quality that you would feel that not like, oh, world peace, I want everybody to live in peace, but like very concrete, very close by, what is the quality that you feel um, that you would love to um, be a part of, to create, to evoke, to support? What is the quality that you feel that people around you are filled? What is the thing that is needed to crack, to melt, and that you're there for also to, yeah, this is why I'm here. Not your big why, but
Yeah,
I want to contribute to that.
the co-creation. I would like to co-create. What comes to me is the word soft. Like,
Mm.
yeah, I don't know why that word comes to me. It's like, yeah, if I can help co-create the space with like soft leadership, soft, um,
Mhm.
yeah, or like grace. It's like
Mm.
giving people grace, giving myself grace. Yeah, something along those lines. Like if I can co-create, also like art, grace, and softness. And like I think there's such beauty when there's spaces where like it's facilitated, but then there's also like an invitation for art, like letting people bring out whatever gifts that they have into a space.
Yeah, and to me, art is also like art is a way of living.
Well,
Uh,
yeah.
this is also why I call Beyond also living art. Like it is how art, we are living art. Like art can move through us if we allow life to fully just take us.
Mm-hmm.
Right, the art of being. It's not so much a thing of to do, but like it's being a living entity is an art. Can we bring that back or invite back more in? Yeah. Beautiful. Okay. Such a blessing to be here with you. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for watching. If you're still here or maybe have seen parts, look back. And Veronica, Colinis, and Puja were here to enjoy ourselves in a little piece of depth with y'all. And thank you so much for that.
Bye.
Bye.